This has been a very demanded video from you guys. You guys really want to know how Henry and I have started in our entrepreneurship and how we really got into it. So we're going to try to give you guys kind of the full story today. There's going to be no cuts, it's just going to be raw. And we're just really going to say how we came about and how we got to the place we are now. You want to start with the main thing where math class was like?
Right. So it's junior year, our advanced algebra class. Our teacher that we kind of despised that year happened to not be in class that day. And so me and Dylan, she purposely put us on separate sides of the room, but because she wasn't there, we were able to sit next to each other, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
So Dylan was on his computer, and I think he pulled up some kind of article from a real estate newsletter or something online talking about how somebody was cash flowing off their multifamily property.
Yeah.
And Dylan was like, how funny would it be or how good would life be if you could literally just sit on real estate like this? I was like, yeah, why can't we?
Yeah, and then Pat was hosting an event. So there's a community in our area. We live in Atlanta. There's a sub to Atlanta community, and there happened to be a meetup that night. Pretty much what a meetup is, it's where they have a bunch of real estate investors. They come to this event. There's three main people speaking, pretty much the guys that are doing the most, or the guys that are there to help other people learn. But Henry's uncle owns a restaurant that they were having the meetup that night. That's a major coincidence. And we ended up going to that meetup. We didn't know anything about real estate. We didn't know anything about e-commerce. We made this decision 6 hours ago. And we found ourselves at a real estate meetup with 35 and 40-year-old people. We felt so out of place, and everyone was looking at us like we were crazy. We were getting called out. We felt embarrassed. It was crazy. And this one girl, Alexis, she came up and she started speaking. She was 19 or 20 at the time, about how she was wholesaling at the time, right? She was wholesaling. She did what was she? She was
lending.
She was lending then, but she was a wholesaler, and it inspired us. So the way that it works is there's networking, speaker, networking. We were too scared to talk to anyone in the beginning of the networking because we didn't know what to talk about. We didn't even know what the meeting was about. We just went. After Alexis spoke, Pat was like, "You guys need to go talk to her. You really need to go talk to her." But at first we weren't really sure we wanted to, but we ended up going up to her, introducing ourselves, telling her a little bit about ourselves. She was kind of shocked that we were there. We were 16 at the time, on a Thursday night, and long story short, we pretty much ended up setting something up with her that we'd go to her office the next Friday, and she would pretty much show us how to wholesale. And then, so we went to her office, she walked us through the entire thing, and we walked out of there with a little knowledge. We learned the basics. I think we went to a restaurant after that, right? And we kind of we talked about how we would start, how we would really, really pull the trigger and get into it. And 3 days later, you want to tell them?
3 days later, we ended up sourcing a deal and finding a buyer on a property.
Yeah, the revenue was $60,000 over 3 days. 3 days worth of experience. We split that 50-50 with her. So we brought in after closing costs and the dispo fee, it was we profited $20,000 on our first ever deal at 16, 3 days later. So that was kind of the trampoline to making us hungry, making us want to work harder. And I think ever since then, we've always had the mindset of creating our own money. Not usually at 16 or 17, kids are working at a pizza place, they're working at a restaurant, they're working at an ice cream shop for $10 to $15, whatever it may be. That honestly didn't satisfy us. That didn't satisfy what we knew we could do, pretty much. After knowing, doing something like that over 3 days really makes you question, what could you be doing more? How could you be making more money? And from there on, we were wholesaling for the next 3 or 4 months. We closed 2 or 3 more deals, I think it was. We closed a private money lending transaction, which pretty much we connected a borrower with a lender. It was your aunt at the time.
Yeah, that was the simplest grand I've ever made in my life. It was literally, I directed a phone call to another person, that's it. So literally sent over the wire the next day, it was done.
Yeah.
So easy. That's the power of networking. You meet somebody you meet another person that needs this somebody, but they don't know each other. You put them together, you make money. There's so much money in connections you can't even describe. And that doesn't even happen with real estate. It's anything in business. But I want to kind of emphasize what Dylan was talking about on this Alexis girl. So I think, in my opinion, a mentor is necessary to succeed in business. There's a bunch of free information you can find online, but you're not going to get better information, better knowledge than someone who's succeeding in business themselves.
Yeah, and as you start to grow older, what I think we've both realized is you have to use your resources to your advantage. So the resources we had then was we only had time. We didn't have knowledge and we didn't have money. So going up to someone that already has the knowledge and has the money but necessarily doesn't have the time, trading off with her, saying that we have the time, we're willing to partner up with you, bring you in more money if you show us how to do it, and if we need it, you give us some money to get going. And that's that was the deal we had set up with her. We gave her 50% of all of our deals, pretty much, that we would find the buyer, we would find the contract, we would get it to the closing stage, and she would bring in the buyer and close it. So we had a 50-50 JV agreement with her, a joint venture agreement. So we would pretty much go joint venture with other wholesalers, and she'd bring in a buyer and we'd close like that. And I enjoyed it, but the problem with it was very inconsistent, and the barrier to entry of wholesale was so low that it felt like we were working with people that didn't have a GED, and that was the problem.
So I'm going to kind of break down what wholesale is, because a lot of people don't know from what I've heard. So basically, there's millions and millions of houses. There's millions and millions of people who own the houses. Let's say that this guy passes away and he gives the house is in the will, and he goes to his son who lives, hours away. He doesn't want nothing to do with the property. He's a motivated seller. He just wants to get rid of it. He's not going to list it on MLS or anything. So he'll get a call from somebody like us. We'll go through like records like that and be like, hey, let me give you an offer on your house. Because he's motivated and he just wants to get rid of it, he's more entitled to take it at a lower price, way below market value. So we come in, we give him a low offer. Let's say he accepts it. Let's say he doesn't accept it. We renegotiate until it hits our max kind of offer, where we can still make money. So then we turn around, get the contract. We're not buying the house. We're just selling that contract, selling the rights to the property. Give that to maybe some guy who's fixing, flipping, an investor, something like that. And then we add our fee in the middle, and that's how we make the margin.
Yeah, and before we go too far on our journey, a little backstory on how Henry and I became partners. We've known each other since 6th grade. We live 30 seconds down the road from each other. So having a partner like that is great, because we learn from each other. We're able to scale our businesses together. We've always been into business together. We've never done anything without each other. And what's great about that is when you're growing with somebody from the ground up, you really get to see each other grow. And it's like you want to help each other at the same time, but it's also competitive between you guys. And I think having that relationship with a person like Henry was really, I don't know, I think it was an ingredient to being successful at a young age when it comes to business. So I if you're looking to start a business, I'd say if you have a best friend that's interested at all, go for it, because you're gonna have it's a lot more fun that way too. I can't imagine having to do all this alone. It would be miserable.
Right. A lot of people will talk about their entrepreneurial journey, and I think a partnership is the best way to go about it. It's so much different than just one person. He has stuff that I lack, I have stuff that he lacks. The relationship's just there. If he has something he doesn't agree on, I agree on. There's kind of a different perspective to it.
Yeah, and then from there, so we were wholesaling it started in late September, so it's September, November, December, February, and then we kind of slowed down on wholesaling. The market wasn't doing the best for us. We weren't getting as many deals. That's the problem with wholesale. It's very inconsistent, but some months we would be doing great, others we would make no money. But that's where it became frustrating, because at a young age you want to see the money coming in, but we were committed to it until it felt like it was an overwhelming amount of work for no return. But we still do it on the side. If someone came to us with a deal, we wouldn't turn them down. But in June is when we really started drawing up our plans for our Amazon business, and it didn't really go into effect until this last September or late August. So from there on, that transition during the summer, what would you call that stage during the summer?
Like literally, like building it from the ground up. We're on the third bottom.
Yeah.
We're literally thinking of stuff, trying to get LLCs set up,
Yeah.
not even researching products to be honest. We were still trying to gain the information that we needed.
Yeah. We were just learning, and we had a lot of setbacks. Right when we started Amazon, we were like 10,000 in the hole because we made the wrong decision when it came to ordering inventory, and we still have that inventory. We're still trying to get rid of it. Like little stuff like that is like that goes back to like having a partnership. Is like I felt like if I did that alone and I made that mistake, I would be more cautious, or I don't know if I would keep going after a mistake like that. But having someone that's your partner with, that's also there taking the hits with you, it makes it a lot better than just doing it by yourself. So we took that $10,000 hit the first time, but once we found something that sold, we kind of just jumped up from there.
Break down what Amazon.
Yeah, so Amazon, for those of you that don't know, most people think everything comes from Amazon, but like it's everything. Like I'd say it's like 65% of things come from third-party sellers. So people that are doing fulfillment on Amazon, they're selling on Amazon. So pretty much what we do is we buy in bulk and then we list at a higher price. Pretty much, it's wholesale on Amazon. It's like reselling. So like we'll buy units at like $6 and we'll sell them for $25, and then Amazon takes their fee. We take our fee, shipping costs. So we make like $7 to $8 a unit on that example. We have a unit like that we make around $7 to $8, sometimes even 10. But we sell 200 of those units, maybe 250 of those units a month on one SKU, and we're on 79 different things right now. For instance, I'll show you guys. Today we did 6,000 sales. Let's see, right here. Let me see if I can show you all that. 6,000 in sales today on Amazon. We started 2 months ago, and it's been going great. And honestly, do you want to talk about what we...
Once again, I'll point out that we were able to find a mentor, and he was able to guide us to success. The same thing with the real estate. That's why we were so like, we didn't want to buy any information. We wanted to buy a course. We wanted someone who could mentor us, literally mentor. We didn't pay him a dime.
Yeah.
We were partnering with him. We have time, so we can also help him make money.
Yeah, you have to use those skills that we talked about earlier, whether that's time, money, and experience. Once again, at this point, we had money and we had time, but we didn't have experience. So that was the trade-off with this guy that was willing to help us. His name's Collins. But that's how that started. Like, once again, we've never paid a dime for information. We've never paid a dime for mentorships. Like, all these courses online, most of the time they're not there to help you. That's why we try to give out the best information for free, because we know how challenging it is for some people to find someone that's willing to help them. The biggest thing is you have to be able to add value to that person you want to work with. If you don't add value to them, they just see it as a waste of time. It's not that you're terrible. It's not that they're a bad person. It's just that you won't help them achieve their next goal. And that's just business. And I think we've done a great job at adding value to other people to get them to help us.
Of course.
And you want to talk about what's going forward with Sub2 and buying that?
Yeah, so now that we've kind of stepped away, I want to say 90%, I guess, from real estate, we decided to kind of re-enter a little bit as the market is going to potentially begin to rise back up. So,
as buyers,
yeah. Because we are turning 18 in the next few months. So there's a lot of Sub2 opportunities where now that we're making a consistent profit, each month, that we can start allocating a little bit of that to putting down payments on Sub2 properties. So Sub2 is, we're not going to see a direct payout. We're not going to receive that return on investment right away. It's 5-10 years, which is good for us since we're about to go into college. We don't really need money right now. Getting those good payments in 5 to 10 years is what's most beneficial for them.
Yeah, we're starting to look towards stuff that's low equity now on Sub2 that will be rich in equity in, for say, like 4 or 5 years. We're also going to look into like some apartment buildings on seller finance for Sub2. For those of you who don't know what any of those are, pretty much it's seller finance is pretty much buying a house. I want to say this is Don't quote me. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while, but seller finance is when someone has their house paid off. You go in, and you would target houses that are low in equity with this, right? And you pretty much would give them a down payment, and you'd offer them payments. This was a strategy we were doing with a friend of ours, Emilio, for a while. We never had any luck because we were so focused on the wholesale. We were calling. We had like 24,000 leads every month that we were calling. And that was another thing that got kind of annoying, is calling all those phone numbers, being on the phone all the time, and seeing no return really sucked. But we were calling, looking for these seller finance deals. Seller finance, what I was saying was, it's pretty much a down payment with monthly terms is usually how you want to structure it. And like we would try to set a balloon at 10 years so let's say like we were trying to buy someone said that they would sell their building to you for $8 million. We'd say we give you $9 million over 30 years with the balloon at 10 years. So at the end of those 10 years, you'd be paid out in cash. And over that time, we would set up monthly payments over the next 10 years to kind of bring down the balloon payment. So we'd get it down to like 7 million. And then when we'd sell it, we told you 9, we'd sell it for 10. So we really made $1 million in the equity. We wouldn't be looking to make money in the rent, but in the equity is how we're structuring our deals going forward.
Right. A lot of people in e-commerce are hesitant from real estate because of that they don't see an instant return, which is a big problem, I think. Because I like to say that e-commerce, can get you rich, but real estate will get you wealthy, just because it's consistent payments. It builds consistent wealth. So it builds generational wealth, to be honest.
We know a lot of rich people that have made fortune off real estate, and starting at such a young age. Cashing that out at like 25 or 30 would be insane. It would be truly insane. So like focusing on e-commerce now, that being able to fund all the down payments for the real estate would really do wonders for us, I think. And I think that's what we're gonna focus on going forward. We're trying to get our Amazon business to $1 million a month. So make sure you're following my YouTube. Do you have a YouTube yet?
Yeah.
It's
Henry Farnell.
Henry Farnell. Make sure you're following his YouTube as well. We're trying to get our Amazon to $1 million a month, so make sure you're following my TikTok as well. Henry does FBM as his TikTok. Dylan does FBM as my TikTok. We're posting about our journey, and we're gonna add on to this story. So maybe in a year or so we'll add a part 2 to this video, but for now, that's kind of a life update on how we got started and where we are now, and our goals in the future. Do you have anything to add?
That's it. Subscribe, like. We're trying to help you guys out. So
see ya.